All right,
lie.
Steve has hit the live button, and I'm waiting for an ad to play on YouTube to play our song, so I don't have to put you through hearing an ad. But the song I've chosen to kick off this week, if it will load, if it's very appropriate. The Rock and Roll Express.
Well deserved.
Wonderful. I do what I can to keep things current here, of course. But
Vince, not the song I thought you were going to pick. I got to be honest.
oh man, what were you going with? What did you think you were going to go with?
I knew you would go with someone's entrance, but I figured since we were, talking about, 80s wrestlers, I mean, you picked a good 80s wrestling tag team. I thought you were going to go Hogan. I really did.
Oh God, Hogan! That's such a good. We've played that before too. That's such a good song.
It's always a good one.
That song.
We one time actually with the show after Dusty passed away, we did the whole show with his theme playing in the background for an hour.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of Dusty, do you know who's got the best theme music? I loved Gold Dust's entrance music, and I always loved Gangrel's entrance music.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Gangrel's entire entrance, the whole fruit thing and the fire coming up, it was a home run.
Yeah, to me, my favorite entrance. Gold Dust had a good entrance too, with them using the filter on the camera and pulling down the glitter. That was cool.
He did a good job with that character.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to The War Report, brought to you by the brand new tagmeadate.com. It's all redesigned. Lots of new members. If you're an existing member, your account transfers over. So check that out. But some
of them did not transfer. So if it did not transfer, all you have to do is click forgot password.
There you go.
And go from there. It'll reset it for you nice and easy.
Right. You don't have to register a new account. You can just click forgot password.
Correct.
And if you really want an account, you can just PayPal me $20 and I'll work it out with somebody. But
or me, they can PayPal me $20.
There you go. Excellent. And you might get an autograph out of that. My autograph's not worth anything, but our guest this evening for part 2. Last time he was here, we learned that his mama put him in a factory to teach him hard work. We've come to discuss the second portion of our interview here. I thought it was great the first time. The first ever Tough Enough winner, former WWE Hardcore champion, was on the Surreal Life. Lots of credits to his name. Mr. Maven Huffman has joined us once again. So thank you, Maven, for coming on and joining the War Report for the second time today.
It's my pleasure. I had a blast the last time I was on. I'm happy that you guys wanted me back. I could talk wrestling all day, as you saw.
Oh yeah,
part 1. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be back on the War Report, and I'm looking forward to this next hour.
Sweet. So we are here as usual. We've got most of our crew. We've got Steven, Eric, and Kat with us. Ryan's not here. Charlie's not here, but I'm sure if they have something to contribute, they will drop in.
Hey,
I guess we'll. Yes, sir.
Real quick before we get started, I just want to take a minute. One of the beauties about this job, being a professional wrestler, is that I always believe that wrestlers, more than any other athletes, have a better relationship with fans. So if you don't mind, let me take just 30 seconds to say happy birthday to a guy who has been a fan of mine for years and is actually he's done a lot for me as far as putting videos together, getting pictures, and it's a good thing that we have such just great fans, and to be able to say thank you. There's a guy out in Arizona. I've never met him. His name is Josh Wright. He celebrated a birthday last month. Josh means a lot to me. He's become a friend, over the past couple years, and I just wanted to take a quick second to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man! That's awesome.
Happy birthday. It's also my mom's birthday today, so she catches.
Hey, happy birthday, Mom!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mama Berry.
There we go.
Hey, Vince's mom.
There we go. Perfect. So I actually just got back from Cheesecake Factory, so I'm a little full. But we've got our full complement of the crew here, aside from Charlie and Ryan. We'll get this out of the way first. Kat has undergone an emergency tonsil procedure, and so she has a bit of a speech impediment today. If you're listening along, we don't have subtitles. You just have to listen a little closer. It's not that bad. It's not that noticeable. But Kat, first of all, how are you feeling? Are you feeling any better?
I'm getting there, but nothing was gonna stop Mary Jo but a few go tonight. So.
My Joey. See, I feel bad because I was the one that cracked that joke, and I feel like I should not be that. I might not be the right age, or even people younger than me might not be the age to get the Mary Jo Buttafuoco joke. But when you sent that video to us of you talking, it was all I wanted you to say, "My Joey, my Joey." I'm sorry.
Google.
Yeah, if you don't know who Mary Jo Buttafuoco, this was a very famous case. If you don't know it, Google it. Shoosh.
Joey.
Me and Eric, Maven, speaking of old TV and old things, it was just myself and Eric and one of our guests last week because everybody else had to work or was sick. We finished it with a say goodnight, Eric, and he went goodnight, Eric. And I had to say, I told everybody to ask their grandparents to explain that reference to them. Because we went way back with the.
That's a George Burns reference.
Right, it's an old George Burns routine. So what we did, Maven, last time, if I remember, we talked about the beginning of your career with Tough Enough, and even before that, college, and how you were brought up with your mother, and the Royal Rumble spot with the Undertaker, the chair shot that happened afterward. I believe we touched on a little bit of like 03, 04, but that might be a good place to kick off because you got in 03 and 04 you had a couple title matches, WWF or WWE at the time, I guess, the title matches, because that was 01 they changed. One was Jericho, and then another one was Triple H, but it has interference from everybody on the roster basically. It was a who's who of a title match. So do you have any memories or anything to speak of on the decision? Like, is there a room? Is there like a long table with people saying, well, this guy gets the title shot, or tonight we're going with you, or like what? Take us back to that decision where you hear, hey, you're going to get a title shot on Raw.
Well, obviously the one with Jericho, we took place in Richmond, Virginia. We spoke about that a little bit.
We spoke the Richmond one, yeah.
Yeah, that was after the Royal Rumble, and if fans remember when that took place with the Rumble and me and Undertaker was when I drop kicked the Undertaker, he was eliminated from the Rumble, but he I think the rules state that you can't be eliminated. I forget what it was rule wise, but he never eliminated me. He came back in, and I went out through the bottom rope. So I was never officially eliminated from that Rumble, which fans started coming out of the woodwork saying Maven's still in the Rumble, Maven's still in the Rumble. So pretty much to shut fans up, they decided a few weeks later to give me a title shot. I don't think it was in the original plans, but it worked out because people got behind it. Now this was obviously after Vince purchased WCW. So at the time, this was when they had the unified title, and Jericho had both belts. So in what was close to my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, I got to fight Jericho for both the belts. And the one thing I can remember from that match was Jericho is a great wrestler, but Jericho is a stiff wrestler. I mean, when Jericho kicks you, you feel it. There was a point in that match where he kicks me in the stomach, and I don't know if it was because I was a rookie or just because it was live television. Sometimes you have stuff in, and Jericho kicks me in the stomach, and it knocked every ounce of wind out of me. There for about a good 30 seconds, I couldn't breathe at all. I'm talking, if you've ever had the wind knocked out of you playing football or doing anything, you know what it feels like. It's a helpless feeling because you can't even open your mouth, and it's almost like your lungs don't work. You literally cannot take air into your body. You start panicking, and it was a scary. I had felt it before from football, but it was a scary time to have it on live TV.
Right.
Well, yeah, now you can't even communicate to Jericho and be like, dude, go taunt or something. Like, I need a minute,
He wouldn't have given a shit. Trust me.
Yeah, you got to move on to the next. If you're on TV, especially live TV, like a house
Yeah.
show or whatever, would be fine. You could take a second, but if you're on live TV, you've got to. I can imagine you're trying to get up, hit your next spot or whatever it is.
And it's good that you mentioned communication, because a few years before that, I actually broke my leg on a taping of SmackDown, but no one knew about it. And I tell people all the time it's because I'm tough, but that's not the reason no one knew. It's because I was wrestling Christian. Now, keep in mind, I played baseball my entire life, from the time I was 5 years old till through college, and I broke my leg doing a baseball slide. Go figure. But
man.
I literally broke 2 bones in my ankle, and I broke the small bone in my shin. I don't know if it's a tibia or fibula, whatever the small one is. And this happened about 30 seconds into the match. Now, we had 8 minutes for the match, but I told Christian, and he worked around that entire match without anyone knowing that I broke my leg.
Wow.
That's just kudos to him of being able to change everything on the fly and put a good match out.
Wow, that's incredible.
How many other, I guess, major? Because a broken leg to me, we might say it's minor. All things considered, but were there any other major injuries that were not? I mean, you got potatoed by that chair by the Undertaker, and I'm sure that was a concussion.
That's nothing. That's not even an injury. That's when you start learning what an injury is, and what being hurt is. Just like what is the movie? Are you hurt or are you injured? Yeah. You really start learning, because I mean, I dislocated my shoulder during a match for the first time. Continued with the match. I ended up separating my right shoulder. My last count was 22 times during match. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a significant number of times. Wow.
Well, to this day, and I mean, I'm right-handed, so I can't even throw a baseball anymore. I played ball my whole life, and I can't even hardly throw a ball anymore.
Oh, because if you're going back, like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
To this day, if I raise my arm above 90 degrees above my shoulder line, my shoulder starts spasming like crazy. And I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it spasms uncontrollably. I mean, to where you can see it. It's actually become a pretty good party favor to show people now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, you're at a party. They're like, Maven, put your hand up, and they just show your arm shaking. It's like a little treat for everybody.
I broke my ankle, my shin. I actually broke a knee and an elbow one time, and I actually had knee and elbow surgery in the same day.
Oh, I've had knee surgery, but that's terrible. Two in a day.
I broke every finger other than my thumb on both hands, but finger breaks happens all the time. I mean, you're gonna just the first time I broke a finger, Bob Holly was coming off the top rope and actually landed. It was my fault. He's jumping, and I put my hand right underneath his boot. Well, it exploded. The bone of my finger went through the fingernail, and there the bone sticking out.
Oh my God!
Yeah. It was pretty gross. It was pretty disgusting.
Oh, and I'm sure, like a soldier, you worked through the match and finished it, and then went backstage.
Well, it's just, I mean, I wish I could say it's because I'm tough. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm tougher than the average person, but you know what it is? It's all adrenaline. When you're on live television or when you're performing or something, like I was saying with that match with Christian, I broke my leg and I knew I broke it, but I didn't feel anything. The adrenaline's going so much. You really don't. It's hard to explain. The only way I guess you can explain it is someone that's in a traumatic experience, and they don't feel it. Like really, I felt nothing. And then afterwards, when I went backstage, they had to actually cut my boot off my leg.
Wow, that's how inflamed it was. Oh my goodness,
it was that swollen. And later on that night, I was taken to the hospital in Canada with Devon and to the hospital.
Wow. And do you take any downtime? And I'm trying to, just browse through like a Wikipedia page of your accomplishments here. Was there any downtime you had, like, with those injuries? Well, yeah, Steve, go ahead. You ask your question too, but I just want to know.
I want to hear that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you get injured, when you get hurt, it all depends on the relative, the relative nature of your injury. I mean, obviously, when I had, the surgeries and stuff, I had to take time off.
Right.
Although my doctor couldn't believe that I was getting ready to have elbow surgery, and the question that I asked him was, "Can I still work out?" And the doctor told me, he's like, "Well, you're not going to break your arm anymore." He's like, "If you're stupid enough to go in there and work out, go have at it." And I worked out up until the day before my elbow surgery.
Jesus.
Every time I separated my shoulder, I never took any time off. Not even one day. It's all depending on just how injured you are.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying last time, you're hurt every day you go into that ring, you're hurt. You're always hurt. There's never a time you feel 100%. And I watch guys go in there with way worse injuries than me. Trust me, way worse.
I like the way you put it. Are you hurt or are you injured?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real thing.
If you're hurt, you can continue. If you're injured, then you have to take some time off. And also keep in mind, I was under a contract structure where I got paid more if I was in the ring.
Right.
So there's your motivation
right
right there. Yeah, that's your motivation to get your ass out there and perform.
Steve, what was your question?
Well, I wanted to back up a little bit because Maven brought up, WCW being bought out, and sometimes you forget time-wise when all these things happen because we've been watching for so long. So the night that Vince McMahon makes the announcement that they have purchased WCW and they did the famous simulcast, and it was just one of the most brilliantly done pieces of work ever in the history of wrestling. Everything about it, and even the build all the way through. Where were you like backstage that night, like when this was going on?
Actually, during the purchase of WCW was during the filming of Tough Enough.
Oh, that was still going on.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. And when I was filming Tough Enough, that we had no TV in the house, and we had one computer. But every Monday they would bring in a TV just so we could watch Raw.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I remember watching that with Josh and Chris and Nitty and everyone from the house. And it was you're right, Steve. It was probably one of the best moments of television. Because I think Shane was the one that came out at WCW Arena, and it just looked so out of place.
Yeah.
But it was, to a true wrestling fan, it was the pinnacle. It was what was the best idea ever. To which I'll forever believe it was the worst thing that ever happened to wrestling. But
yes,
right.
I mean,
it was so great at the moment, and it was just so stupid long term because there was just no competition at that time.
Competition makes anybody or any business better. It's just the way it is. And I mean, the reason why, take a cell phone for instance, the reason why you don't have any time minutes anymore or whatever, it's because of competition. All these companies, they're fighting for. They're fighting for your business, and the way to do that is to make a better product, make a product that people want. And when Vince bought WCW, he eliminated his competition, and thus, I think putting forward about a good year of pretty shitty wrestling.
Yeah, the WCW, WWF, or WWE thing is always kind of going to be one of those moments where there was a lot of positive because there were some guys that would have never made it over the WWE roster had there wouldn't have been that consolidation. But then it's not like Marvel and DC where you can do a couple comics and everybody goes back to their own corners.
No.
Or like, somebody shows up on Scandal and then shows up on Power and then shows up on, Shameless.
Right.
And then they just go back to their own show. But there wasn't another show to go back to. It was all everything funneled into that one. You're right. As soon as Shane got out there, it looked out of place, and you're like,
it was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was
understood. There was something going on.
Well, I mean, look at what happened. I mean, up until that time, you had guys like To me, I'm biased. To me, the two best entertainers in the wrestling field ever are The Rock and Austin. I think Stone Cold and I think The Rock were the two most entertaining wrestlers I ever watched. And if you remember correctly, right around that time, about a year later, neither guy was was headlining on WWE anymore. Why? Because they didn't have to. Because
Right.
they were able to go off and pursue other interests, which good for them. But I mean, to me, that we talked about last time, the late '90s and early 2000. I mean, that was the best time for wrestling. I mean, you had The Rock and Austin every single Monday or Thursday night, and you knew it was going to be something great. Why? Because they were competing with with ratings. You know, they were going head to head with WCW and to see who would get the highest ratings, the higher, and I think at that time WWE WWF was pulling in about a 7.1, which was unheard of in
Right.
wrestling. And if
I
you
mean, at
look,
the end of the day, Eric Bischoff made Vince McMahon better.
yeah, he did. Yes, he
You
did.
know, he pushed him to the limits and he made him put on a better product. And, that attitude era clicked. And I mean, even I look back and I think about, when they Triple H and DX and all them ride the tank, to the WCW
Right.
arena and shit like that. Like they did everything right. But then you look back and you're like, what if WCW was still WCW?
Yeah.
And you could have continued to just have invasions, and I mean, it just for the wrestling fan, if they could have all come together, at that time, it would have been a different story. But it was, you're right, it was the best time to be a fan.
No, don't get me
Monday
wrong.
night.
I believe that Vince had to buy it. Don't I fully believe that he was in a position and he needed to buy it. But what he should have done is he should have bought it almost as a silent partner, not let the world know he bought it, and he should have brought in outside counseling to run it. So where
Right.
it
didn't
still
work.
forces his talent, his wrestlers, his executives to still put their best foot forward. Because I mean, when you don't have any competition, when you're the only game in town, you do begin to get a little lazy.
Yeah, but as well as everyone else, Vince McMahon, is a showman, and he's
No,
going to showcase it. He's not going to
yeah,
be silent about anything,
absolutely.
And that's an ego, that's an ego thing for him, and that actually, if I may, this brings me to another one too. So, and I don't remember if I don't think we really touched much on this previously, or if we did, your interactions with Vince McMahon, were they very far few in between?
No, every week. I mean, when I was there, I mean, one thing I will say about Vince that I think I said it last time. Vince, he signs the front of the checks, I sign the back. He's a businessman, and he's all about his product. But one of the things that makes Vince different from other CFOs is Vince. At the time I was there, was very hands on. He was there every week. He never missed a week. It's not like Vince never took vacations as far as I was concerned. Every match I had, he was backstage. He's right at gorilla position, right as you go out and right before you come in. We had in 2002, we were about to go on what was Christmas break, which meant you get an extra day off. So I was going to be gone for about 4 days during Christmas, and I went out and I had a match. I forget who the match was with. As soon as I got right through the curtain, Vince was standing there. Now, keep in mind, this was like the third match on Raw that night, and it was a shit match. And Vince let me have it. He didn't care that it was Christmas. He didn't care that it was a mid-card match on Raw. He wanted his product to be the best at all times, and you got to respect that. You have to. I mean, he let me have it with every word. He challenged my integrity. He challenged my competitive drive. And I'll tell you what, I went home and I spent those 4 to 5 days thinking of how to make myself a better performer and a better wrestler.
And I've heard other interactions. I've unfortunately never met the man myself, but I know other people who have, excuse me, who have worked for WWE And that seems like the kind of he's not. If for the wrong type of person could take it as him being a jerk,
No.
but it's him being motivated because it is his company.
It's him being passionate.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Yeah. Being
right,
an
like that could come off as being like too much sometimes. But
being an asshole and being passionate have very, very many similarities. But you know that he's only doing it because he cares. And I actually appreciate the fact that he wasn't phoning it in. I appreciate the fact that he cared enough to get in my face, because that meant he believed in me and that he cared enough about my career. I mean, it would have been very easy to phone it in that night. I mean, everybody was already talking about where we were going for vacation.
Right.
And, you know, but to Vince, he didn't care. Vince was very approachable while being intimidating, if you can understand that.
Oh yeah,
he's
and
a
I've
big
heard
man.
that many times. I've heard that many
Don't
times.
realize, like, you see him on TV, and it doesn't do him justice, the fact that he's always around big guys.
Right.
But Vince is a very big man, and he's an intimidating. He's a force, but Vince is also a person that I always felt like if I needed to go up and talk to, I could. And, you know, I mean, he would always take the time. He would listen. Yeah. I'll never say anything negative about Vince.
Well,
I like someone who isn't afraid to tell me what they're feeling.
No, and that's amazing. But like, so what happens the very next time you walk back through the curtain? Now, like, he explodes on you. You get back from, you know, Christmas or whatever, you have your match, and he's right back behind the curtain. Does he even talk about that, or is it just like it's a new day?
It was all forgotten. And to me, that's what made it. That, like, Vince wasn't a guy that would. You're only as good as the last match you put out there.
Right.
And the next time I did a match that was good, Vince was the first one to tell me good shit, and he was like, you know what, you sell this more, or try to put this in there. Vince is always trying to make me better, but that's because that makes his product better. And he actually never brought it up again. Trust me, he didn't think about it for 2 seconds. Something that happened, he probably never thought of it again, but it stuck with me that entire Christmas break. I couldn't think of anything but that.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's one of those guys. It seems like he's a guy who will express that once, and then if you went out the next time and you just had a shitty match, he wouldn't come out and do that again. He'd just be done with you.
Yeah, he'd yank you off TV. He would take you off TV and put you on Sunday Night Heat, or even take you off the road. I mean, and I saw him do that with other guys. You know, guys would have shitty matches or whatever, and they'd be off television. And it's you know, when you're at one time, I think there were like 72 people that were on the road traveling every week. And when you do a job that's 72 people, when you have a position that 72 people are fulfilling, the demand for that position is so great that you got to stay on top of your game, because you know there's always someone that wants your job.
Yeah, you have to stay competitive and in shape and all that other part and parcel that comes with being a professional wrestler.
And it's actually it's funny, because when I started wrestling, I weighed about 195 pounds. And I mean, if you look at pictures of me when I first started, and then pictures of me 2 years later, I changed dramatically. My physical appearance changed, you know, I mean, enormous amounts. And people always ask me, you know, the first question is, did you take steroids? Well, yeah, of course I did. And next, people are like, well, did you have trainers? Did you have people telling you what to eat? And surprisingly, the answer is no.
Really? I would have assumed you did.
You're self-motivated, brother.
Wow.
If you get out of shape, you're going to get taken off television, and that's going to hurt your pocketbook, and that's going to hurt your ability to sign a contract the next time. So it's a self-motivated business. I never had one person tell me, "Oh, try to eat this or try to do this." You're learning on the fly, and I mean, if you're not motivated to be the best you out there, then trust me, someone over your shoulder telling you not to have a piece of cake ain't gonna help. So,
what do you eat? What do you like to eat when you were on the road? Was there a particular a particular dish or a particular restaurant that you like to go to when you were traveling?
Yeah, well, I mean, you start to learn to go to the restaurants that are open. I mean, when you're leaving arenas at, sometimes 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, your steakhouses just aren't going to be open.
Right.
So me and Orton, we actually got used to eating at a lot of Denny's or IHOPs or whatever, and you just learn to respectfully ask them if they can cook your egg whites without oil and
Right.
without butter and stuff. And what I mean by respectfully is you don't want to piss people off that are making your
We're
food.
making food.
Yeah,
That's a true story.
because they will have the last laugh.
Definitely.
And and actually, when we get into some Randy Orton stuff, I got a funny. Remind me of that I got a really funny story
Well,
about.
I was just gonna say you brought the man up, and I know before
Yeah.
we went on air, you said a very brief but funny story. So about Randy Orton and traveling with him. So if you have any road stories or
Oh,
any other snippets that you'd like, something that won't get Randy. I know Randy's still out there; he's in the public eye. Nothing
yeah.
that could get him arrested, or but nothing that can get like a minor charge in Cobb County,
All right.
Georgia, back
Yeah.
on his tail or something. But
You know what? I actually have a great segue into that.
okay.
Maven, I had a question for you. This is related to Orton. This was like the 2004 Survivor Series, and
Right.
you were in the main event. Like the stipulation was that if your team won, you got control of Raw each week. So
Right.
I wanted to know how your feeling was about being able to main event Survivor Series, and then from there being in a main event against Triple H on Raw for the
Well,
title.
Yeah, well, those actually, if you remember, those happened one day after the next. So the Survivor Series was on a Sunday, and then I was the GM of Raw the very next day. So it was a lot of oh, you want to talk about nerves? Probably really the only time that I was actually ever really scared nervous. Like nerves is a good thing. Nerves makes you makes you perform up to your highest level.
Yeah.
For me anyway. But the day after when I was the main event in Raw, after that night on Survivor Series, they actually gave me the script for the next day, and I'd never been handed a script that was that tremendously long. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I was just going over reviewing it. But once again, I mean, I was working with great groups of people. The late Chris Benoit, Jericho, Orton, and then having the 20-minute match with Hunter was just. I mean, it was the highlight of my career, and I think it turned off. I think it actually pulled out pretty well. I think it was a good night overall, and definitely it was a lot of fun.
Triple H kind of there's two reputations for Triple H, and I guess it depends on which way you're looking at it as a fan. So I'd like some insight from somebody who worked with the man. There's one part of Triple H where he went on this reign of terror kind of for 10 years or so on television where he was the top guy, and it was kind of revolving around the McMahon-Helmsley thing, and then it revolved a little bit around DX or Evolution or whatever, or the
Right.
Authority. At the same time, he took guys like Chris Jericho. He let Chris Jericho put him over, or he put over Chris Jericho and made everybody think he won the belt on a Raw one time, and then kind of
Right.
used like the heel thing to get the belt back. He had a hell of a match with Taka. It was a world title match with Taka. He had a world title match with you, and what I'm saying is the commonality is these were guys that maybe had a year or two into the WWE, not necessarily pro wrestling, but they
Right.
weren't like, you weren't a main event guy like a Rock or a Stone Cold, and yet here's Triple H working with Taka, here's Triple H working with Maven. What do you get a sense of his wrestling brain? Like, is he in there for him? Is he in there for the good of everybody in the locker room? What is your sense of working with Triple H?
Well, I mean, Hunter's definitely there for him. Trust me, there's no one that positioned themselves to be more successful than Hunter. But when it comes down to it, he earned it because no one has a better wrestling brain, more knowledge than that man. That man has lived the business for so long. I think I said it last time. When I wrestled Hunter, it was the only time that I never blew up, that I never got tired. And it's because he's so knowledgeable and he knows how to put matches together so well that it's almost like he doesn't even have to think about it anymore. Wrestling wise, he's the best guy I was ever in the ring with.
Wow.
Now, when you talk about the politics behind it, were there politics in it? Yeah, of course. But I don't think Hunter did anything that anyone else wouldn't have done being put in that position. I would have done the exact same thing had I had the power and had I had the positioning that he did. He was always there to help. Hunter
That's
gave
good.
me my first pair of wrestling boots.
Wow.
I was
That's-
I was just coming off Tough Enough. I had just wrestled Taz 3 times, and I did it in sneakers. And I had ordered a pair of wrestling boots, and they called me up to do a match with Booker T. And the wrestling boots weren't there. Hunter took me to his trunk backstage, pulled out a pair of boots. He's like, "I've never worn these, and I don't think I was gonna, so they're yours."
Wow.
And wouldn't take money for them. I mean, Hunter gets a lot of Hunter gets a bad rep from people, but it's just because Hunter's the best way to put it is Hunter's a leader. He's not a follower, and most people hate leaders. It's that simple.
Yeah, I see a lot of like alpha mannerisms and all that in him. He seems like he would be the take charge guy, but also he seems like he's willing. He wants to have his level of power or money or whatever there. And once he's able to achieve that, he's okay with helping out guys who haven't made that level yet.
I'd say that's a fair assessment. I would definitely say that's fair. But then again, I mean, try to delve deep into his mind for a second. He has literally put the time in. He's put the effort in. He's got the bruised backs and the injuries. And he's put so much work into it that, I mean, he's earned it. He really has. Like I said, is there politics in it? Absolutely. But there's politics involved in every business, everything. And I don't think Hunter did one thing that anyone else wouldn't have done. I really don't think he did.
I'd like to hear that. You watch somebody on TV enough over the years, and you don't really want to hear something. They say never meet your heroes.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Really? Any stories there for never meet your heroes?
I've watched just coming from a personal level, whenever I'll meet people on the street or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, you made my day." And I immediately say, "Aim higher," because I really hope meeting me doesn't make your day. It's just no one can live up to, we in this nation, we put people up on a pedestal so much, I mean, look at what happened the other day in the Super Bowl. Now everyone's saying Tom Brady's the greatest, but at the end of the day, and I agree he is, but at the end of the day, Tom Brady's a person just like all of us.
Right.
He does the exact same things we do every morning. He eats, he goes to the bathroom, he tries to do stuff that's good for his family. And you know what? Eventually he's gonna fall short. If you put people up on a pedestal, they'll never live up to it. And that's I've seen people go up to wrestlers or celebrities or whoever, and just you see it in their eye how excited they are, and then you see that twinkle leave the minute they realize that the person they're meeting is kind of an asshole, or the person they're meeting is worried about getting on the road to make a 3-hour drive, and they don't want to take 5 minutes to talk to them. It's just be careful with putting people up on a pedestal.
I like that. That is sound advice. We'll get to the Randy Orton thing because I do want to hear some stories, but it's the way I read something on Wikipedia, and just the way that you speak and you present yourself. I want to bring it up because I noticed an inflection here. It says you were a middle school teacher at one point.
I was actually, yeah. My first job out of college, I taught 6th grade in a little suburb of Portland, Oregon. A buddy of mine I played baseball with in college, my best friend at the time. I moved all the way out there because he was out there coaching a baseball team, and he needed an assistant coach. So I'm like, I'll go out there and just help him for the summer. And one summer ended up being, a year and a half of teaching 6th grade in the school with him. Now, I taught math, social studies, and science, and I will tell you, I'm so bad at math. I literally had some of my kids, my 6th graders, literally were telling me, they're like, Mr. Huffman, we're better than you at this. And I'm like, yeah, you are.
See, I can tell the way that you were speaking with Autumn, Kat's daughter, off air, and then you spoke to her on air last time. You have a way of speaking with not just adults but also children where it doesn't seem like you're condescending or talking down to them. You're talking to them on a human level. You're not like, I'm an adult, you're a child. Just the way that you express your ideas and the way you speak is very, I don't want to say teacherly, but it sounds informed, and it sounds like somebody who speaks professionally.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I'll actually take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
All I'm trying, and it's God given. All I'm trying to do, well, no matter who I meet, no matter their age, is just try to relate to them. Just try to actually take the time to let them know that for however long we talk, for however long you have my ear, I care. And that goes back to, I guess, teaching, because the best way to get through to kids is let them know you care. The minute that they don't think you care, trust me, they won't care. And I've tried to take that to, I mean, I'll literally meet people on the street, and it'll happen that people will say, Maven's an asshole or whatever, but that's just life. Right. But I literally, if somebody's willing to take their time, I'm always try to take my time. That doesn't mean I'm gonna sit and want to talk for 20 minutes about about the Starcade 88, but I'll do what I can to at the time try to show them that I do indeed care.
Which, mind you, if you want to laugh, Maven, Autumn actually got detention in school the next day for raving about you all day.
She got detention for it.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but she got a hug at home. She got in no trouble.
We'll have Maven read out a hall pass for her the next time.
That was my next question, Kat. Yeah, that was my next question. You should give her some extra dessert or whatever.
Definitely.
Put it on. I told everybody in the group, I'm like, dude, this is the best day ever. My daughter got detention about Maven.
She was talking about wrestling.
That is awesome.
And the teacher tells me, she was so happy about this wrestler that she talked with. She's like, I had to tell her she has to stop. Oh my God, it's so funny.
That is hilarious. That is good. Well, I tell Autumn I enjoyed talking to her. Yeah. You know what's weird? I love, like, it's so strange because my gift, God blesses us all with something, and I don't care what it is. My gift in life is, you could put me in a room full of executives in New York City or stockbrokers or whatever, and I'll fit in. You can also put me in a room full of backwood, hillbilly, inbred rednecks from West Virginia, and somehow I'll fit in. Like, I've always been a people person, and I've always been able to just get through to people, and that's God given. That's not me.
Well, you've taken what he gave you, and you've definitely done, a lot of good with it. Now, as I said, we're gonna read to Randy Orton. So here's the last portion here. We're gonna touch on Randy Orton and the surreal life. So if there are any anecdotes or anything that you think, like, if there's a moment between you and Randy or between you and somebody on the surreal life that maybe people don't know, or you think would be like a little interesting insight. If you have any stories for us about that, because I'm a big TV junkie anyway. So Randy Orton, of course, always want to hear stories about him, but also just being a big TV junkie, especially back then when the surreal life and I Love New York and all that other stuff was like the best era for reality TV. And in my opinion, you got on one of the better shows, because the surreal life was always, if it was on, I was watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, it was funny because I was a fan of the surreal life, just because it's one of those shows that was at the time was good to just turn on, even if you weren't watching it, even if you were just going about your day or doing
Right.
stuff around the house, I would always leave it on because it would catch my attention from from the side. And it was weird because I got the call to do the Surreal Life a couple months after I was released from the WWE, and I was actually taking a nap. Got the call, and the woman said, "Hey, Maven, this is so and so from the Surreal Life. We're wondering if you'd be interested in, possibly being, being a housemate on the next Surreal Life we have coming up." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm taking a nap. I'll talk to you later." And but at the time, I viewed the Surreal Life as it was the has-been show. You know what? It was the show that Vanilla Ice did, or
Yeah.
Jose Canseco. It was the once you were out of the spotlight, that was the show that you went on. And I called my best friend at the time, Jason, and I'm like, "Hey, they're interested in me doing the show." And he's like, "What? You're questioning it? Do it. Get out there. Stay out there." And I'm glad I did. It was the easiest filming ever. We filmed 10 episodes in 11 days. I was there. I was gone literally for 11 days. That was it. The house we were in was Glenn Campbell's old house up in the Hollywood Hills, and it was gorgeous. And the good thing about being on a VH1 show is they had this thing called the Bat Phone, and it's off camera. You'll never see this phone, but you can pick this phone up and ask for anything, and they'll get it to you. And about day 4 or 5, we started because I would pick the phone up and I'd be like, "Hey, I need 2 large pepperoni pizzas," and they'd be like, "All right, give us 20 minutes." About day 5, they started saying, "What's the dumbest thing we can ask for?" And I'm like, "I know what we can do." I picked the I picked the phone up. I asked for a Ouija board and a 25-foot extension cord, and they got me both of them.
I think they were probably waiting for you to do something real weird that they could get on the air, right?
I don't know.
He's gonna do something with that Ouija board.
It's like ransom.
But yeah,
That's hilarious.
they literally, and this was back during the time when I was drinking a lot. And I would pick the thing up every day and I'd be like, "I need another 5th of Jack Daniels." And they would show up. It was the best. I was like, I need to put one of these bat phones in my house. I don't know who will answer it, but it'd be great.
See, now that's something I didn't know about a reality show. And I know it might not be every reality show, but that's a fun little perk of being on the show for 11 days, I guess.
Well, think of it this way. They take everything away from you. They take your cell phone away. There's no TV. We actually didn't even have a computer in the house. We're taken away from the outside world. And if you want to get something to eat, or if you need to go to the store, you actually can't jump in a car and go. So they have to bring everything to you. And it was pretty cool because the producer, every night, I'm a night owl. I'll stay up all night, and everyone would go to sleep. So every night the producer would come out, and the first couple nights, I mean, for an hour, he would just be sitting there filming me outside. I'd have a cigarette or whatever, and he'd just be filming me. And I'd be like, "Dude, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to do anything." So a couple days into it, he would finally turn the cameras off, and then he would come around there and have a couple cocktails with me. And you start to learn, like, I won't say who, but they confiscated some cocaine out of one of the housemates I was there. He was telling me all the dirt.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, if you go back and watch the episodes, it's kind of obvious who, but
right. I mean, now, do you have any? What was maybe your favorite, or an interaction that stuck out between you and one of the people in the Surreal Life house? Because you had some legitimate celebrity names in there with you, Florence Henderson and Sherman Hemsley and Alexis Arquette. I mean, I had to mention the 3 that all passed away.
The 3 that's passed, yeah.
That's because I think all of them were fairly recently. Anyway, they're fresh because they passed away. But is there anybody on the show, like whether they're alive or not, was there an interaction or a moment that you came away with, as a memory?
Absolutely. Well, this is a pretty cool memory, and I'm glad you mentioned his name, Sherman Hemsley. I mean, I grew up and obviously watching the Jeffersons,
Oh,
and
so great.
oh, I mean, just what a classic television show. And you always think, and I went against my own belief. You think that someone's going to be like their character, and
Mm.
Sherman couldn't have been any more different from his character. Um, Sherman and I actually, up until he died, we would call each other every Christmas day to wish each other a Merry Christmas. And
No kidding.
when that man meant to do, like, he was the nicest, sweetest, just he was the exact opposite of George Jefferson. Put it that way. Everything you see with George Jefferson, that's the polar opposite of the way Sherman was. He was the nicest human being of all time. Florence Henderson, and you're right, she passed last November. God rest her soul. She didn't stay in the house.
Right, she was like you're like a what therapist? Is that what it
Yeah.
was?
Listen, they would bring her in literally for a couple hours a day. I didn't even view her as being in the house.
Right.
It wasn't until the magic of editing that they put her in the show so much later on.
Right. It made it seem like she was a bigger part when she only spent a few hours with you guys. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And CC DeVille, the guitarist for Poison, he was he was cool. He could get a little bit annoying because CC talks like this and he talks really fast and this is literally what he sounds like all day long. And
I was just gonna ask you about CC because I saw he was, and then Tawny Katane. I mean, you had all you needed was what, like an old Grand Am or Trans Am or something for her to sit on while CC played the guitar. It was
Yeah,
like you could have had your own 80s music video right there.
I think I told Tawny that she was probably the first thing I ever masturbated to, and I don't think she appreciated it.
I'm sure that's not the first time she's heard that, though.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been the first time she heard that day. I mean,
How what back then? And I know when she first started her career, she was very, very attractive. In 2006, how was she? What was Tawny Katane looking like when you met her? Obviously, cameras, ad, makeup, all that other trickery. What was Tawny Katane? Did she wear anything skimpy or anything like that?
no, and thank God she didn't. She got naked and jumped in the pool one night, and I literally, I don't know, I probably shouldn't say this, but it looked like 180 pounds of chewed bubble gum. It was not good.
I get it.
But that's Mother Nature, and she was sweet. I never kept in contact with her after the show,
Right.
but she was definitely sweet and definitely nice to me. It's amazing how, because I literally remember that Whitesnake video and just how I used to just sit and drool over the TV when it would come on. And it's just crazy to show where life can take you, in
Right.
20 some odd years.
And
I got to hear a Randy story.
yeah, we need a Randy Orton story before we got like 7 minutes. So if it's a 7-minute long Randy Orton story, we'll go for it.
I have two that are good. Not the best, but certainly won't get Randy in any trouble with family or with the law.
That's the important part.
We were talking. So we were talking earlier about how you never mess with anyone that makes your food, right? So we're out west, and we were going through our daily pre-show routine. Get up in the morning, go to the gym, and before we used to always go to Denny's or whatever to eat breakfast. And this, I don't know why, but for some reason Edge was riding with us during this loop. And we go in, we order, and Randy ordered the exact same thing he always ordered. He ordered 6 poached eggs and oatmeal. So the girl comes out with our food and didn't have Randy's oatmeal. So she puts my food down. She puts Edge's food down, and Randy informs her that his eggs aren't poached the correct way. And what you see on TV, that's Randy. Like that's not, he's not acting. That's just who he is. That's him in person. That's him out there. Randy is he's a funny dude, man. And he tells this girl that, I'm not eating this shit. Get this out of here. He cracked one of them. He's like, this isn't supposed to happen. Get this out of here. And then he says, can you at least bring me my oatmeal? So the girl comes back with oatmeal that literally looked like somebody poured about 2 inches of mop bucket water on the top of it. I mean, brown and disgusting. And Randy looks at it. He's like, what is this shit? He's like, I'm not eating this. He's like, look at this shit. He's like, I ain't eating it. And the girl makes her mistake then. She looks at him. She says, well, maybe you should have stayed at home and made your own fucking breakfast.
RKO through the table.
And that's just not what you say to Randy Orton. He then proceeds he grabs the oatmeal with both of his hands and literally chucks it over his head 10 feet from our table. How this cup of oatmeal didn't hit every bystander in there. Oatmeal got everywhere. The glass thing hits the ground, breaks. I mean, it was just mayhem. Edge is looking at him saying, Randy, you got to calm down. The girl starts crying. She runs away. She's like, she brings her manager out. Her manager comes out, realizes Randy's as big as he is, and the only thing he can come up with is, you're gonna have to pay for that and the other oatmeal we bring you. To which Randy then tells him, I'll buy every box of goddamn oatmeal you got if you can get one of them right.
Oh
wow, that's hilarious.
I wish I was there for that.
Me, Edge, and Randy, and it was the best. All right, here's another quick one. This was I'll be able to do this one pretty quick. So me and Randy were traveling, and we used to have a affinity for strip clubs. So we stopped at a strip club, and it was horrendous. It was so bad. So we leave, and also Randy ordered a pizza to a strip club one night. Told the delivery driver he'll give him $20 if he brings it to the table, and he did.
There you go. Customer service.
So as we're leaving the strip club one night, now at the time Randy wasn't 25, so every car had to be rented in my name. So we're driving back to the hotel, and we had like a Ford Escape or something like that. I forget what it was. But Randy looks at me, he goes, "Yo, let me drive." And I'm like, "Oh God." All right. So I pull over, we switch seats, and Randy pulls and goes through a construction zone and starts hitting everything in sight. He's hitting barricades, he's hitting trees. Well, long story short, we take the rental car. I mean, we knocked a fender off this damn thing. So we take it to return it the next day after we put gas in it, and we go into the kiosk, and the girl says, "Is the gas tank full?" Randy says, "There's as much gas in it as I could get." Well, I didn't think, I knew something was going to happen, and we never really talked about it until about 2 months later when I get a letter from Hertz Rental Car and from American Express saying that I was going to be sued if I didn't pay the $4,300 damages that was done to the rental car. I called Randy and I was like, "Damn it, Randy, remember that rental car?" And I mean, I'm thinking I'm gonna go ape shit on Randy.
Right.
Before I could get anything out, he went, "How much is it?" I said, $4,300. He said, "I have a check for you on Friday." And I'll be damned if Friday came, he handed me a check for $4,300. To him, it was worth it. And
Yeah, being in car insurance and having seen those letters and dealt with customers who do that kind of stuff, I couldn't imagine you receiving a $4,300 invoice in the mail and I know my reaction wouldn't be very good. So for a guy that's probably twice my size,
Randy,
oh my God, yeah.
Randy could care less.
Now, I guess maybe this is the crux of the driving thing. Was he bad at driving and hitting these things kind of like, oops, I didn't mean to, or was he gunning for all the construction stuff?
No, he was aiming for everything.
I wanted to make that clear for everybody listening at home that this wasn't Randy Orton can't drive and he's not like barely seeing over the steering wheel. He was going for.
He was aiming for everything. We literally we dented 3 of the 4 quarter panels. We knocked one of the quarter panels completely off the car. The bumper literally was hanging on by a thread. We lost the front license plate. The grill was cracked up. The hood was damaged. One of the tires wasn't holding air well by the time. I mean, we did a number on. I mean, to do $4,300 damage to a rental car, you got to put in work.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
But the thing about it is like Randy's the kind of person that it literally took that to make him feel better. Like it's just Randy's an odd dude, man. I love him to death. I had more fun with him on the road than anybody, but he's just wound a little bit different. Randy got suspended from the WWE for drugs one time, and I get a call at 3 a.m, and he's like, "What's your address?" And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "What's your address?" So I told him, and he's like, "All right, I'll be at your house in 3 hours. I just got suspended." And I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Baltimore." I'm like, "Randy, you realize there's 3 airports closer to my house than Baltimore?" He's like, "I just picked the first one." And like, it's just I've heard he's changed a lot since he had his kid. And like Randy's he's a great guy. There was nothing in the world he wouldn't have done for me, and likewise. But he's just different. He's just a different dude. But that's what makes him good at his job.
You still stay in touch with him, or once
you know
you
what?
left?
No, we stayed in touch for years. I mean, not as much as as I don't talk to him often anymore. But when I do see him or when I do talk to him, we pick right back up.
That's
and
cool.
I mean. Obviously time passes and maturity level sets in for both of us. But I'm no one in the business is better at all facets than Randy. He's the most talented when it comes to cutting a promo to the wrestling he's amazing. He really, really is. And I enjoyed my time and the years that we were able to spend in a car together. We used to drive down the road and laugh because this was before the wellness policy, back when we could take I mean, I was on so much shit that I could have lived on ice cream and I still would have stayed ripped. And we were driving down the road one night and we had a case of beer, Krispy Kreme donuts, and a large pizza in the car. And we're looking at each other, and Randy looks at me as he takes a bite of the pizza, and he goes, "Finely tuned athlete, finely tuned athlete." Yeah,
That's
it's just
amazing.
just memories that I only could have got with him, and love him like a brother. Him and Devon were the two guys that I rode the most with, and complete different. But
That's great.
like I still talk to Devon all the time, but just Randy is Randy.
Oh, that's so cool. What about now? Like, so if I remember correctly, when you and I spoke off air, you don't really watch much of the current product anymore.
Nah, not much anymore. It's just, and I'm not a get off my lawn old man or nothing like that. I don't look back and say, well, in my day, Sonny, we wrestled with, that's not me. The current superstars are every bit as good as anyone that's ever done it. It's a case of, for me, it's just a case of, it makes me miss it too much. I tell people all the time, it's like, imagine having the true love of your life that you lost, and then imagine having to see her every week. It would get tough after a while. And wrestling was that was the love of my life. And it's too tough. It makes me miss it way too much.
I can understand that. That. What happened to the release? What led up to that, or did it come out of left field, or?
Yeah, it was completely out of left field. And to show it was out of left field, I landed in Charlottesville, Virginia. I went to my suit store and bought a $1,200 suit and about $800 worth of clothes the day I got released. Obviously, I wouldn't have done that, you know, if I knew I was being released. Yeah, it was completely out of left field, but you know, like then is move on, and I think I've been able to you know, do some other pretty cool stuff, and but everything I've done in entertainment, and it all is because of wrestling, and I will always remember that, and always love the business. I mean, that's truly my first love when it comes to entertainment.
You've hosted other programs, BET, Home Shopping Network, etc. Would you find that if WWE or TNA or whomever it was called and they said, you know, Michael Cole, Josh Matthews, somebody, they got hit by a bus. We need Maven backstage to interview somebody, or Maven to do commentary. Would you be okay enough with it? Even though you'd be so close to the ring and the action and the boys and all that, and you're not bumping, you're not working matches. Would you be able to do that? You know, like a backstage or a
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. When I say when I say I miss it, I miss being a part of it.
Right.
And you know, I mean, if I was working for the company and or backstage or whatever, then I would feel like I was a part of it again. You know, to turn it on each and every week and watch, that's too far away from it.
Right.
You know, I would love the opportunity to do something like that. But
it seems like I don't think you went to school for, like you said, you didn't go to school for television production or anything, but you seem natural on camera, and I know you had experience with the reality shows in the WWE, but to even be able to, I have to do it all the time, and I know I stumble over my words a lot just reading off note cards and stuff. So you're able to present yourself on these shows, and they're like I said, BET, the Home Shopping Network that said you were like a health and fitness you know, instructor, or they offered things where you did like workout stuff to sell the products, and you're able to do that, but you didn't, it was almost like a trial by fire. You didn't go to school for it. You weren't like a child actor or anything like that, and your parents didn't put you in commercials. You just, they threw you in and it was sink or swim.
Brother, it was honestly, and I wish I had a better answer than this, but it was God-given. I did nothing. I used to go on HSN shows, and literally I wouldn't prepare one bit, not a fucking bit.
Wow.
But I was selling, literally I would be selling, I was selling NFL merchandise. All right, so this is my thought process behind it. I'm selling a jacket with NFL team logos on it. I know what you do with a jacket. I know how you wear a jacket. You know, it's pretty easy, and it just became it was actually pretty easy. I go on there and do 2-hour shows, and at that point, it's just will God put the stuff in your head to say? And for me, He did, and I wish, and I would watch guys like Tony Little, who is, you know, obviously a fitness. I would watch him do his shows, and he would have so many note cards, and I'm talking big poster board. He would have 15 poster boards down there with his things to say right underneath all the, you know, the cameras. And it's God blessed me with the ability to be, you know, I could literally go over, I could sell something one time, and then all of a sudden I could tell you about the jacket and where it might be useful here and that. And then you're throwing NFL team logos on the back of it. That seems pretty damn self-explanatory on how you do it. I wish it was something that I could say, hey, I did this, I went to school for this, and that worked. But it's just that's what God blessed me with.
That's amazing. It's amazing because you are such a good speaker, and you have, it's a lot of vocal quality. You know, you've got a good, like a baritone. You've got kind of, you know, you've got that Southern accent, but not the Southern, like the Tom Brokaw kind of accent, but not really accent thing going on. Like you got, it's a good, you got a good, because I can't see you right now. I'm only hearing you. So you have a good broadcast voice.
And actually, it's funny because I'm not even doing my radio voice now. I mean, if I want to, I can actually throw my radio voice in, and whenever I speak like this, it's going to give you a little bit less inflection, and I'm not going to draw my words out quite as much. But you know, I mean, I'm just being comfortable right now and talking.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I could tell you what it was. It's just, this is what God bless. You know, God bless Usain Bolt with speed. He blessed, you know, Tom Brady with the ability to be able to be a good quarterback. This is the blessings that he gave me, and I'm just happy that I was able to find career paths that made them possible. That's where you're lucky if you're able to, because whenever I never viewed wrestling as a job. I never viewed HSN as a job. I never viewed any of my time on BET as a job. It was a cool, just paid doing. I would have done it. I would have done it for next to nothing, And a job is when you hate doing something or when you don't look forward to doing it, and
Right.
that's where I forget. I heard it earlier in the week. I forget who said it, but they said if you're already thinking of retirement, you're in the wrong line of work, and that that made sense to me.
Do you think you could sell Tony Little's Gazelle glider? Like, do you think if you put Tony and you on two different home shopping channels at the same time, who sells more? Who sells more Gazelle gliders, you or Tony?
All right. Well, all right. That's actually, this is a better way to put that. Tony would sell more because it's his product. Right. If you put us on a different channel, not HSN, if you put us on a straight infomercial with a different product, I would outsell him.
You could become like if it was not Maven's whatever jogger thing, but like if it was like Nordic Track or something, and you wore the host from. Okay,
I sold litter boxes on HSN, cat litter boxes, and sold
the
them
robot ones or what?
Yeah, the one that when your cat gets done taking a shit, it senses that it's out of the box and it goes and it sweeps up the litter and everything.
Does it work? Because I have a cat and I swear that is that a legit no?
No, that's it. Yes, it works. But
I've been looking for that solution for like a year and a half now.
Here's the problem. It works, but eventually the litter will clog up the gears and everything, and it'll stop working. So if that makes sense, then
I get that.
If you give me I sold shavers, like electric shavers. I sold luggage on HSN. I sold everything under the sun. It just so happened that sports and NFL was my niche. That was when they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you look the part, you sound the part, you know the product. The rules in selling is obviously rule number 1, know your product. Rule number 2, know your consumer, know who you're selling to. And number 3, always have a solution. And I always knew that going into selling stuff. I knew who I was selling to, I knew the product, and I knew how to make it work. Tony knows how to sell his Gazelle freestyles or whatever, or his bison burgers. And Tony has his people, and trust me, don't get me wrong, Tony's great at what he does, but it's so funny, man. If you ever see Tony Little in person, you'll be so underwhelmed. I mean, it's just
Is he
crazy.
Small? Is he like short guy?
He's tiny. He's a little shrimp, man.
So are you going to be debuting the Maven system anytime soon?
You know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea. I should come up with something like that.
There you go. I don't know if you ever worked with him, but Stevie Richards has Stevie Richards Fitness now, and he does live streaming fitness lessons online. So it's the same. It's a similar concept. He has a membership thing. I think it's like $15 a month, and he puts up workout videos. You can Skype with him, and he actually will do a video chat with you and show you your form and correct your form. So it's an interesting kind of niche that he's in now, because he's really big in computers. So he found a niche.
Well, that's a seamless transition, because Stevie used to be. I mean, Stevie was infatuated with working out and with just being healthy, and I'm glad he's able to transition into something that he has a passion for.
Oh, he's almost 50, and I'll be on Instagram at 3 a.m. because I stayed up until 3 a.m. and I just woke up and going to the gym, and it's a picture of him alone in the gym. That's just his. Yeah. He's definitely that guy. Before we pack up, I have one more person to ask you about. I think you've worked one match with him, and I think it was in the last year or two. He says you are his favorite wrestler of all time, and I believe him because he's told me several times. All good, Anthony Green. All good.
Yeah, I did one match with All Good, and I honestly, that was such a nice kid.
Yeah,
such a nice.
He's been a guest for us, him and his tag team partner at the time, and he came on.
I just,
very
I left his and just couldn't say enough nice things about the kid. I just had no clue that someone. Trust me, my girl doesn't like me as much as Anthony likes.
he's serious about it, and I know it.
And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, I didn't believe it was physically possible. I don't like me as much as he likes me, but it was one of those nights where I was humbled. I really was, to know that and to be able to touch people and to know that you've had an effect on someone, man, that's as good as it gets in this business, you know.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what Rock and Cena and them feel like, knowing that they've done that with millions of people. You know, I mean, because it felt great for me just knowing I was able to do it with one.
Right.
And yeah, Anthony was a good dude, man. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, he's actually I work with him now a couple times a month because I work Northeast Wrestling. So he works all up. He works basically kind of Connecticut, lower New England, up through Maine, because he's in Massachusetts. So he's great. I remember him. My first interaction with him was he was like 12 years old, and I was a ring announcer. I was 19, not like I was much older, but he was like 12 in the crowd, and I was, trying to work my way up, sweeping up or putting up chairs or whatever it was. So it's always interesting to see a kid grow up, and now he's like your peer and he's in wrestling. So like we're working together, and it just goes from, I was here, you were there, and now we're here together. So it's nice to see that he had a goal, obviously, when he was a young kid, and he achieved it. So,
well, and it's good. It's always good to have a goal. You know what? It actually, and I'm big on quotes. I love quotes, and I actually encourage people all the time. Find good quotes that you can live by. Find quotes that mean something to you, and they really will help. One of my favorite quotes of all time. It was from John.
Well,
hi,
hey, Kat. Looks like Kat got back on. She dropped out for a second. All right, Kat. He's going over. He's talking about a quote here that
and it's from John Wooden. It is talent is God given. Be humble. Fame is man given. Be grateful. Conceit is self given. Be careful. And like that. The night I met Anthony, it was just like, you know what? I'm meeting the guy that is the kid that is truly my biggest fan. And, it made me so humble to know that there's someone out there that appreciates what I did. And if you can stay humble through anything, then I think that's what separates people. I really do.
You picked a good quote and a good coach to take it from. John Wooden, one of the best of all time. So,
oh my. I've got quote books from him. He's got a million.
And I used to run a sports trivia, so every so often I'd get a quote from him or 9 times out of 10 when you're looking up a record,
it's his.
John Wooden. It's like, oh, how many college coaches, whatever. No, John Wooden. So he's an amazing, coach. It's good that, and I agree with you. You have these quotes that you live by. One of the things I was thinking of as you were talking, if you had a microphone or a video camera that tapped into every home in the world, whether it's a computer or a smartphone or whatever, and you had 30 seconds to address Earth, is there something that you would say to everyone?
Oh my gosh. Just 30 seconds?
Like it doesn't have to be timed, but if they said, okay, you've got like a statement to give to
you know people. What? I would just strive to always be the best version of yourself. I am living proof that if you believe something and if you try, anything's possible. I mean, bro, I was a fan. I was just the biggest wrestling fan in the world. And I had an opportunity to do something great, and I didn't let anyone tell me I couldn't. And I put everything into it and was able to succeed. There's going to be times when you doubt yourself, of course. There's going to be times when the world doubts you, and always believe in yourself and always do everything in your power to make your dreams come true. And you'll be surprised at what we can actually accomplish and what you can achieve just through belief, dedication, and hard work. I often tell people that the two things in any scenario you can always control, because trust me, your boss or whoever or your spouse, there's always going to be aspects of something that you have no control over.
True.
But the two things you can always control is your output and is your attitude. Are you going to go into something with a bad attitude, or are you going to you're going to look positive about it? And how much work are you going to put into something? Man, I don't care what it is you're doing in life. That's two things you can always control: output and attitude.
I'm voting for you in 4 years. That's how it goes. That was beautiful.
That was my stump speech.
You could get off a bus, say that, get on the bus, and go to the next town. You'd be great at it. Is there anything, Steve? I know we've gone into extra innings here since we're with a baseball player. We went into some extra innings. We went a little over our hours. Anything else, Steve or Eric or anybody want to get in before we do our big finish here?
I think we covered it. I'm pretty good.
Excellent. Eric?
I'm going to be representing Tag Me a Date in a couple of shows in the North Carolina area. I'm coming into Big Time Wrestling Friday. There's actually going to be a Matt Hardy versus Ricky Morton final deletion match that night.
Wonderful.
I may show up in Wilmington, and I got a big thing in Lumberton it's a meet and greet with Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA.
Excellent.
And Maven, I should mention this. I got time off, and I'm coming to Big Time for the big event.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
Thanks for the warning.
So for those of you who may not know, and this is a good time as any to broadcast this, the Big Event 12, March the 4th, it's a Saturday, 2017, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in East Elmhurst, New York. If you go to bigeventny.com, you can get tickets. I want to say it's a wrestling convention, but it's not, because it's an entertainment convention.
Right.
You've got USA softball players like Jenny Finch there. Mike Tyson's going to be there. Sting, Dennis Rodman. So it's not just wrestling, but it is with a wrestling slant. The headline for Tag Me a Date is there will be a Tag Me a Date booth. We will be taking registrations for new members. And we also have, if you go to bigeventny.com and tagmeadate.com's Facebook or social media, you will see our special guest is the one and only Maven Huffman on March the 4th. So this will be great, because I have a feeling that you're not going to let anybody, and I want to make this a rule, but I know I can't make rules because Steve's the big boss. I figured the rule is to meet Maven, they have to register on Tag Me a Date, unless they're married, and then we can kind of, if they're married, that's something else. We don't, but they register on Tag Me a Date and they get to meet Maven. That's maybe, who knows? But it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm probably, Maven, have you looked and seen, is there anybody there that you're excited to reconnect with maybe?
You know what? I haven't looked to see who's going to be there. It's always, those events are always just events that are so good for not only the fans, but for us, former wrestlers and former entertainers, because that's when we do get to see each other. I remember I saw Snitsky at one of the last events, and it was just so good being able to reconnect and just see where people are. And I look forward to meeting all the fans. I look forward to being able to shake hands and hear stories. So if you're going to be in the area, or even if you're not going to be in the area, get your ass to the area, and go to Tag Me a Date, and we look forward to meeting with you.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big show. I'm hoping I have a show the night before on the 3rd, so I may or may not be able to make it to New York for the big event, but I'm glad that we have a presence there. Every year I hear about the big event, and again, bigeventny.com. You can get your admission ticket pre-sale. It's a little bit cheaper, I think, if you buy it online and buying it at the door. And I've been to WrestleCons and I've been to big events and this and that. They're a lot of fun. If you're a fan, even if you're a wrestler that, like you said, maybe you haven't worked in a little while, you haven't been in the business as much recently, it's a good opportunity to see people that you might not even, I remember that guy, from he wrestled that one match that I really liked, and then what happened to him? Like Kizarny. I know he's still wrestling, but he wrestled. I saw him live once. It turns out the SmackDown I went to was the only match he ever wrestled in WWE, and then he got canned. But it's like one of those things. Like I could go meet Kizarny if he's there. So bigeventny.com, March the 3rd or March the 4th rather, 10 to 3 in East Elmhurst, New York. Bigeventny.com. Tag Me Day is going to be there with Maven. It's going to be a big deal. And while you're there, you can register for the brand new tagmeadate.com. It's completely revamped top to bottom. Your account is still there. If you try and log in and you get a password error, hit forgot password. We're going to reset it for you. Just because the site visually looks different does not mean that your account is not there. It's just that when transferring, could have been a password issue. So if you have a registered account, give it a shot. You're still a member. It's still free as always. And if you're not a member, now's your opportunity. Tagmeadate.com is the first and only dating site for wrestling fans, and it boasts a unique feature for those of you trying to find your tag team match. See what I did there? You have the opportunity, instead of uploading a profile picture, to upload a profile promo. You can cut a nice little promo. I guess you could say babyface or heel if you want, but let people know what you like and what your personality is like. Maybe you can talk about your favorite wrestling matches or your favorite gimmicks. Maybe you've got a wrestling gimmick and you want to impress everybody by showing them a little bit of what you got. Go to tagmeadate.com. There's location searching. There's searching by your favorite wrestler or favorite event. It's really it was designed by us, by wrestling fans, for wrestling fans. So if you have an interest in pro wrestling and you want to meet somebody that has that same passion, I would recommend going to tagmeadate.com. It's free. What's the worst that can happen? You get a couple emails now and again. It's not going to cost you any money. Give it a shot. Tagmeadate.com is, as I said, brand new, redesigned, top to bottom. We spent months working on this with our web design partners overseas, and I'm really happy to see that Steve put a lot of work into this, and it's kind of his baby, and I guess I'm like a cousin or a nephew or an uncle, but it's definitely his baby, and he's put a lot of work into it, and I'd like to see that work pay off. So if you're single, you like wrestling, give it an opportunity. Tagmeadate.com is the one and only dating site for wrestling fans. You won't find them anywhere else except maybe Farmers Only. I don't know. But check out tagmeadate.com. It is brand spanking new. Follow us on social media. Go to northeastwrestling.com for updates on where I'm going to be. And, of course, go to bigeventny.com for finding out how you can meet tons of wrestling and professional sports superstars, including the one and only WWF Tough Enough winner Maven Huffman. Again, March the 4th, 10 to 3, East Elmhurst, New York, bigeventny.com. On behalf of everybody here from tagmeadate.com, I want to thank you for checking out the War Report. We are live and in public, if you will, baby, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on the Eastern Dial. I know our daylight savings time thing is going to come up again in another couple months, so we'll keep you apprised of that if you are not within our time zone. And other than that, stay tuned to tagmeadate.com and our social media and our YouTube page. You go to youtube.com, type in Tag Me a Date, no spaces, Tag Me a Date, squish it all together, put it in the search box. You'll find our channel where we have our archive of shows and a schedule of upcoming shows. And of course, if you want to keep updated with our upcoming guests and upcoming specials and events, our Tag Me a Date social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Give us a follow. Give us a like, give us a listen, and we will see you next week. And hopefully, Maven, I don't mean next week literally for you because I'm sure you're a busy guy, but I think I speak on behalf of everybody here when we say we want to have you back as soon as we can and make this a regular drop-in that you can come in and, either we've gotten through the life and times, the This Is Your Life portion of the Maven section, so now we can kind of pick and choose because I realize we haven't talked about your significant other and how you met her and all of that. So there's a lot of room to cover with
luckiest day of her life. Luckiest day of her life.
Oh man, I didn't hear her just smack you in the back of the head, did I?
She's gonna smack me if I don't get in there and eat dinner.
I gotta eat dinner too. All right, guys. Steve's gonna close out the stream. Maven, thank you again. Is there anything you want to plug? Do you have any? Can we find you anywhere? Anything you want?
Like I said, guys, man, when I come on your show, man, it's for the War Report and the War Report only. I'm honored and I enjoyed it. Just let me know when you want to do it again, man. This is fun.
Very, very soon. Again, big event, New York. We're going to have Maven there, and this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship between tagmeadate.com and the War Report and our friend Maven here. So thank you again, Maven. Everybody listening, thank you. We will see you next week.